very good evening. Welcome to The World Now at 4 on Hills TV. I am Uduak Daniel. First, let's talk the headlines. And on the headlines, driver arrested after crushing policeman to death. Still on the headlines, Ghana president fires junior minister over graft allegations. Also on the headlines, UN General Assembly calls for Russian preparations to Ukraine. And on sport, Djokovic wins opener against Stefanos Tsitsipas. And now the news in detail. Chief of Army Staff, that is the COAS, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, and Regimental Sergeant Majors, that is the RSM's training convention, is strategic on Army operations as well as enhanced discipline in the Nigerian Army, he says. Farouk stated this at the Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai Auditorium, Jingia Barak, Sokoto, at the Regimental Sergeant Majors, that is the RSM, Second Convention 2022. The Chief of Army Staff noted that building the capacity of RSMs is crucial to Nigerian Army's operational effectiveness, considering the important roles they play as custodian of discipline and regimentation.
Expectation that the presence of these notable scholars and senior officers will greatly enhance the discussions at this convention. I therefore urge you to freely express your views in order to have cross-fertilization of ideas.
Also speaking, Sokoto State Governor Aminu Tambuwal also encouraged the officers in charge of discipline.
Set up and structure of the Nigerian Army. I can see that apart from being the bridge between commissioned and non-commissioned officers, you are also the officers in charge of discipline.
In his welcome address, the General Officer commanding, that is the GOC 8th Division, Sokoto Major General Uwem Basi, thanked COAS for making the welfare of soldiers and officers a priority, adding that training would enhance capacity, regimentation, and discipline amongst the RSMs, and the convention should be sustained.
For improved professionalism is a critical pillar of the Chief of Army Staff vision of having a professional Nigerian Army ready to accomplish assigned missions within a joint environment in defense of Nigeria. This convention, therefore, is designed to enhance the leadership abilities, operational efficiency, and overall capacity of RSM in how to improve.
And away from that, still on force matters, 2 policemen were confirmed dead on Tuesday after a truck driver crushed them in the Adebayo area of Ado-Ekiti, Ekiti State, on Monday evening. According to reports, the policemen were conveying themselves to work on a motorcycle when the truck driver rammed into them at a spot where traffic was diverted for reconstruction purposes on the dualized Ado-Iworoko Road. Speaking with our correspondent, an eyewitness said the truck driver was responsible for the accidents that claimed the lives of the policemen. The sector commander of Federal Road Safety Corps, that is the FRSC, Ekiti State Command, Olushola Joseph, who corroborated the police spokesperson, cautioned drivers plying all roads in the state to control their speed to curb senseless carnage. Joseph said drivers must be safety conscious. Some of these untimely deaths could have been prevented if they were cautious and careful on the roads. The driver of the tipper has been arrested while the corpses have been deposited in the morgue at the Ekiti State University Teaching Hospital. And now let's have you know, no fewer than 13 persons lost their lives while 13,226 persons were displaced during the recent flooding that ravaged Kano State. Executive Secretary of the Kano State Emergency Management Agency, Saleh Jili, disclosed this while briefing newsmen in Kano late Monday. Jili noted that a total of 14,364 farmers lost their farm produce during the disaster. According to him, Many victims of the flood were accommodated by their relatives and friends, as none of those affected by the flood stayed at the internally displaced persons camp, that is the IDP's camp. He stated that though the state had a well-equipped IDP camp, most of the people who were affected by the flood did not stay there. He, however, revealed that the victims were back to their homes within a short time, as soon as the water dried up. When we return, news from other parts of Africa. Stay with us. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. This is The World Now at 4 on Hills TV. Over the next 3 decades, the West African nation's population is expected to soar even more, from 216 million people this year to 375 million. The United Nations, that is the UN, says, making Nigeria the 4th most populous country in the world after only India, China, and the United States. Tuesday marks the UN projection for when the world's population is expected to hit 8 billion people. Though officials are careful to note it's not a precise milestone. Nigeria is among the 8 countries that the UN says will account for more than half the world's population growth between now and 2050, along with Congo, Ethiopia, and Tanzania, among others. The UN has said that slowing population growth over many decades could help to mitigate the further accumulation of environmental damage in the second half of the current century. Omolayo Adeleke, a nurse in Nigeria's busiest city, believes that customs and traditions in some parts of the country play a major role in the high population figure.
Growing population of Nigeria, one, is as a result of we don't check our growth rates when it comes to population. And another thing is that if you look at the north, they are free to marry as many as 4 wives. And each wife can have as many children as they want, like you know. Within this other side, the south side, we know that yes, somehow, because of the economy, because of the hardship of the economy, people tend not to have children too many.
There are also important cultural reasons for large families that drive the tradition. In sub-Saharan Africa, children are seen as a blessing and as a source of support to their elders. These were the words of a concerned African man.
Growing population in the country is a cause for concern when it has to do with Nigeria as a country. But for other countries, it might not be a cause for concern because they have a very good structured government and the population is well taken care of. But in Nigeria, the reverse is the case.
And now away from that to another African country, Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo has fired his junior finance minister over corruption allegations made in an upcoming documentary on illegal gold mining. The president has terminated the appointment of the Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, Charles Adu Bohan, with immediate effect. The presidency statement said Akufo-Addo's decision came after being made aware of the allegations against Bohan in the documentary Galamsey Economy, which is scheduled to be released. Akufo-Addo also referred the case to prosecutors for further investigations. According to reports, it was stated that before the sacking was announced, Vice President Muhammadu Bawumia said he was not aware of any meeting in which Bohan had used his name to peddle influence and collect money from supposed investors. Akufo-Addo has been under increasing pressure after recently opening negotiations with the International Monetary Fund, that is the IMF, over a potential $3 billion loan to help shore up the country's economy. We'll now move over to other parts of the world after this break. Don't go away. Always a delight to have you back. The UN General Assembly has approved a resolution on Monday calling for Russia to be held accountable for violating international law by invading Ukraine, including by paying reparations for widespread damage to the country and for Ukrainians killed and injured during the war. Investigations indicated that the vote in the 133-member world body was 94-14 with 73 abstentions. It was as close to the lowest level of support received by any other 5 Ukraine-related resolutions adopted by the General Assembly since Russia's February 24 invasion of its smaller neighbor. The resolution recognizes the need to establish an international mechanism for reparation for damage, loss or injury arising from Russia's wrongful acts against Ukraine. It recommends also that the Assembly's member nations, in cooperation with Ukraine, create an international register to document claims and information on damage, loss, or injury to Ukrainians and the government caused by Russia. Before the vote, Ukraine's UN ambassador Sergei Kyslytsya told the Assembly that Russia has tried its best to destroy Ukraine in a very literal sense.
Accounts of atrocities committed by Russians in the occupied territories, murder, rape, torture, forced deportation, looting, they all speak for themselves. Millions of Ukrainians have been forced to leave their homes and seek shelter elsewhere. Ukraine will have the daunting task of rebuilding the country and recovering from this war. But that recovery will never be complete without a sense of justice for the victims of the Russian war. It is time to hold Russia accountable. The proposal in front of you today is a proclamation that Russia must be held accountable for its violations of international law in Ukraine.
The UN Security Council voted on Monday to extend for another year the UN peacekeeping mission in the Central African Republic, that is the CAR. The vote was 12 in favor with 3 abstentions, namely those of Russia, China and Gabon. The French drafted resolution maintains the robust mandate of 17,500 peacekeeping mission focusing on protecting civilians whilst encouraging President Faustin Archange Touadéra and his government to promote lasting peace and stability through a reinvigorated political and peace process. Intercommunal fighting has raged in a mineral-rich but impoverished Central African Republic, that is the CAR, since 2013. The resolution adopted Monday urges all parties to respect the ceasefire and urgent implementation a reconciliation process. CAR's Foreign Minister Sylvie Valérie Baipo-Témon denounced an alarming humanitarian situation, adding the country needs a mandate to address the armed groups. And now, moving away from that, let us quickly take this break. When we come back, it's going to be more from the business desk. Don't go away. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. This is the Business News Desk on The World Now at 4. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed has said the federal government is currently finalizing Nigeria Agenda 2015 to succeed Vision 2020, which lapsed 2 years ago. Ahmed said this on Monday in Abuja at the 28th Nigerian Economic Summit. According to the minister, the government had earlier formulated the National Development Plan, that is the NDP 2021 to 2025, to succeed the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, that is the ERGPP 2017 to 2020. The minister added that resources were being mobilized with less emphasis on oil revenues. Ahmed commended the President Muhammadu Buhari for his continuous support to the NESG in the last 7 years. She said that the collaboration between the Finance Ministry and the group had provided a platform for regular dialogue and engagement with the private sector and other stakeholders. And now taking you to United Kingdom, having you know what it feels like for business. United Kingdom unemployment rate has edged up to 3.6%, but remains close to the lowest level in almost half a century, according to an official data showed Tuesday. According to the Office for National Statistics in a statement, sky-high inflation continues to squeeze wages, resulting in mass strike action across Britain. The UK annual inflation stands at more than 10%, the highest level in 4 decades, and is forecast to keep rising along with unemployment as energy bills and food prices soar. Consumers and businesses are set for a further hit Thursday in a government budget set to include tax rises as Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt seeks to shore up depleted state finances. Still to come on The World Now at 4 is sports. Don't go away.
A very good evening and welcome to Sport News on World Now at 4. I am Richard Badung. Host of the Nigerian National League Super 4 playoff, Bayelsa State has constituted 6 local organizing committees to oversee the smooth running and successful organization of the season-ending 4-team tournament that will produce the overall NNL champion of the 2021-2022 season. According to reports, the 6 committees are stadium facility with 4 members is to be chaired by the director of the State Sports Council, Braveman Wodi. The committees are to work hand in hand with the NNL management team led by Manuela Desonya and report to the Commissioner for Youth and Sports Development, Honorable Daniel Igali. The playoff will feature the 4 winners in the 2 conferences, North and South, of 4 abridged divisions that will take place at the Samson Siasia Stadium in the state's capital, Yenagoa. Host teams Bayelsa United, Bendel Insurance of Benin, El Kanami Warriors of Maiduguri, and Doma United will tango for the prestigious NNL title, which begins on Wednesday, November 16. Still talking sports, former world number 1 Novak Djokovic has defeated second seed Stefanos Tsitsipas in 2 tied sets in his opening match of the ATP Finals in Turin. The 35-year-old Serb overcame Tsitsipas of Greece 6-4, 7-6. Djokovic is seeking to equal Roger Federer's record of 6 victories in the season-ending tournament. Earlier in the same group, Russian Andrei Rublev came from a set down to beat compatriot Daniil Medvedev 6-7, 6-3, 7-6. Rublev, seeded 6th, held his nerve in a final set tie-break to overcome the 4th seed after squandering 7 set points in the opening set. Meanwhile, on Sunday, Nadal's latest bid to finally land the first ATP Finals title of his career started with a defeat by American 8th seed Taylor Fritz. Top seed Nadal will face Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime in the second Green Group round-robin match on Tuesday. The Turin tournament sees 8 of the year's best men's players split into 2 groups of 4, with the top 2 qualifying for the semi-finals. And away from that matter, still talking sports here, world champion Ronnie O'Sullivan says it feels unbreakable because the treats snooker as insignificant. The Englishman, 46, was speaking after winning through to the second round of the UK Championship in York. The 7-time UK champion scored 2 centuries and 2 90 breaks in a 6-2 victory over Wales' Matthew Stevens. Stuart Bingham also won 6-2 against English compatriot Liam Highfield, but fellow former world champion Mark Williams lost 6-3 to Jamie Clark. Clark, 28, won the final 3 frames to claim his first victory over fellow Welshman Williams and reach the second round of the UK Championship for only the second time. And that sport news rounds up Sport News on World Now at 4. Thank you for listening. Back to Uduak Daniel for the rest of the news. I am Richard Badung.
Many thanks, Richard Badung, for that one. And that's your World Now at 4. But before we go, a quick look at our top stories. We told you driver arrested after crushing policeman to death. We also told you Ghana President fires junior minister over graft allegations. We're brought to the full UN General Assembly calling for Russian reparations to Ukraine. And on sport, Djokovic wins opener against Stefanos Tsitsipas. Remember to visit us on Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube channel at Hills TV. I am Uduak Daniel. Thank you for watching.